So I got tested on shadow integration today. So this morning, a really good friend of mine that I love, like beyond the moon, um, called me and was like, "I need to talk to you." So I was like, "All right, whatever." So I called him, and he was just like, "Yeah, who built your website?" I was just like, "I built my website," and he was just like, "Oh, how much do you charge for websites?" And I was just like, "Why?" And he said, "I have a friend that needs a website done." And I was just like, "Okay." And I started to go and fall into my old pattern. I swear to God, this was a test from my spirit team. Just know your spirit team tests you all the freaking time. You're going to be tested on stuff. So I was just like, I was like, I went right into it because it's my boy. It's my ace. Like, he's my dude. So my first instinct was to, oh, I gotta help him, you know? So I was just like, well, what does he want? What does he need? And he started telling me what he wanted, and I was listening to it, and I was just like, okay. And then I was thinking to myself, should I do it? And I felt that old familiar feeling of, it's Craig, it's your boy, you gotta help out, and it was just like, crap, and my shadow was just like, hold on, pause. I had to pause. I took a class just a couple of months ago, and they said that before you really start getting into things, you need to pause. So for me, I didn't pause. I started, and I was like, oh, he should do this, he should do that. And then what clicked in my head, or made it click for me, was he was like, well, how much does that cost? And I was just like, oh, you're doing it again. You're giving free information and not getting paid for it. That had to stop. That had to stop at some point, because I'm no longer playing small, or playing games, or playing anything. This is a business. Kayla's design studio is a business. It's an actual business. It's not like, oh my God, I'm just playing. No, it's an actual business. So what I've learned is I need to stand my ground and be like, no, what's the scope of work? How much is his budget? Because your budget tells me what you want to accomplish. It's not, and I was trying to explain that to him. It's not like making a t-shirt. Yes, this t-shirt costs a specific amount of money because I created this t-shirt. But if you want to create something, if you want to create your brand, or your website, and you have to have and know your budget. Now, the old me, the non-shadow integration me, would have been like, what is he trying to do? And feel obligated to do it for him and to help. You understand? Because he's helped me when I really needed it. Like, without fail, consistent. Great guy. Like, great guy. So it's like, that's how sneaky my spirit team is, because they didn't send it through someone I really didn't care about, because they know I would have shut it down. I would have been like, no, which has happened. And I said to someone, I was just like, yeah, I don't do websites, because that person did ask me. I was like, I don't do websites because I don't like websites. But for specific people like my boy, if he had a friend that needed help, I would consider it. I would consider it to see what they needed, because I would want it done properly, and I would want it done properly without his friend having to spend a bunch of money for no reason. Because I remember when I first started out, I had like paid this company $100 a month to build my website, and month after month they weren't getting it. They weren't getting the graphics. They weren't getting my concept. They didn't get me. They never did a discovery. They didn't sit down with me and be like, okay, what's your vision? They didn't do any of those things. So I was just like, I was just shoveling money, and I had to run behind them. So I was like, nah, screw that. So I did my own website. I'm rebuilding the website now. I had to tear it down and rebuild it. So I'm rebuilding it now. Coming soon, people, coming soon. I'm so excited. But yeah, I digress. But the old me would have been like, oh yeah, and not only the old me wouldn't not have only wanted to like do it because she felt obligated. I would have wanted to do it just to be seen, just to be like, oh yeah, he's gonna know I do it, and he's gonna tell his friend, and he's gonna do this, and he's gonna do that. No, pay me. Like now, no, just pay me. I'm good. Just pay me. Because what I've learned is that doesn't happen that way. So it's just like, especially when people don't pay for stuff. When people don't pay for stuff, their value of it is not as good. That's not everybody, but that's a lot of you. A lot of you are like that. And as a designer, as a stylist, as a all around amazing person, I need reciprocity. I need reciprocity in my relationships. I need reciprocity in my work life and in my professional life. My integrating my shadow has made me understand we're not doing this anymore. We're not small. We know what we're doing. We are like wearing our clothes. We are designing stuff. I have built at least 5 brands that are running right now, that people have merch, they have stuff, and I didn't get paid for it. See, ding 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 on the clock. I didn't get paid for any of it. So it's just like, but that was the old me. Now it's like, no, this is the price list. This is what it is. I know what I have. So I don't need you to be like, oh, what do you have? And no, I don't need that anymore, because I'm confident in who I am and what I do. You understand? And I know as long as I stay on Success Road, whatever I'm going, wherever it goes, that's what's going to happen. It's just going to be successful, and I'm going to have a grand old time doing it. All right? So I know this helps someone. Work on integrating your shadow. It is not the first thing you should do, because you will not be able to control it. Does that make sense? Integrating your shadow should not be the first thing that you do. That is my biggest disclaimer to you. Do not do that, because I've done that. I've done that like way years ago. When I was probably 20, I did it. It was probably even earlier than that, because I was working at Roy Rogers, right? And I was very scared. I was always very scared and very like, of things. And I was scared because I got my ass beat. When I was a kid, if you stepped out of line, you got whooped. You're not with like, oh, a little pat. No, you got the belt. There was you shut up. I have a problem with my S's. There was a specific belt that we would get hit with. So for me, I grew up with that blinders and straight. You got to do what you're supposed to do. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get your ass handed to you. Didn't want my ass handed to me. Granted, I was always the one who was like, fuck, I'm in trouble again. That was me. So I don't know if I was a black sheep, but I don't know. But whatever. So I remember where I was when I got that, I guess now I can call it a download. And I got that download. I was walking under a trestle, which is kind of like my spiritual people be like, the train trestle means something. But I digress. I was just walking under a trestle, right? And all I heard in my head was, I was 18. I was 18 years old, because I was like, I remember hearing in my head, you're 18 years old now. If anyone puts their hands on you, it's assault. It doesn't matter if it's your mother or your father or your aunt. It doesn't matter who touches you. No one is allowed to put their hands on you, because it's assault. And I said, oh shit, no one can beat me? No one can hit me? Bet. Yo, I went rampant. I was like, yo, my shadow, yo. I had people crying. People were like, my heart. Oh my God. I was like, I don't care. Fuck you that was just my mantra. You understand? It literally was. It was just like, and I guess my spirit team was like, oh shit. We got a container, because it was like, I was like, F you. That's why your mama don't love you. Leave me the hell alone. No one could really do anything to me, because I had a boss tell me one time, he was just like, you do really good work, you manage really well, but you leave way too much blood on the floor. And I was just like, what do you mean? Because I had knives, all that other stuff. And it's like, but the funny thing was, the people who contained me, they contained me and unleashed me to serve them. So it was like I was a machine. I went from a sovereign being to someone's weapon. Does that make sense? So you have to be careful integrating your shadow too fast, because either you'll just kill everything in sight, or just like kill relationships. Because I couldn't keep friends, because I was just like, yo, how many times I'm going to talk to you about the same goddamn thing? I was one of the most unempathetic empaths you could find. I was just like, I don't understand what the problem is. And then people were like, what the hell? Because people were still coming to me, because that's my role. But I had no empathy. You understand? Because you can be an empath and not have empathy. I know a couple of them. And it's just like, you have to know what type of empath you are. Because if you're an unempathetic empath, you have to watch what you say to people, because you can destroy lives. There was times that I was saying stuff to people, and it was the truth, and it should have been said, but it shouldn't have been said like that. And a lot of people kept telling me that. They're like, Keisha, it's not what you say to me, it's how you say it, and like how you deliver it. And I was just like, I don't give a fuck. Do you understand? And it was bad. It was really, really bad. I'm gonna stop cursing. It was really, really bad. So then the spirits were like, we got a container. So they put me with people who would contain me, who was because you had to be strong enough to contain me. And there were people who were strong enough to contain me and make me and manipulate and all this other stuff to get me to this, right? So I would be like, all right, I gotta calm down. And I'm like, okay, maybe I am a little bit. And then it made me start to reevaluate how I did things and how I came across, right? So then I met someone who taught me, who changed my knives for crayons. And they were like, hey, you don't gotta be like that all the time. You know, you gotta learn how to regulate and balance yourself out. And I was just like, what do you mean? And why can't I was like, and why can't I have knives? They were like, no, take these crayons. And he literally went, take these crayons and you can make, I was like, can I make them sharp? He was like, you can make them sharp. You can make them any color you want. And it was like a therapy session. And I was just like, okay. So I started under that person. And I learned how to do this. Like, I think it's a two of coins. Like, I learned how to take the dark and kind of manipulate it. But what I ended up doing was taking this, which was light, and pushing this and putting it to the back. And the shadow was in the back. So it's like anytime when she was always back here. When I needed her, she would come to the front and shit would jump off. You understand? So it's like, but she was always suppressed. It was always suppressed, and it was always scary when I unleashed it because I wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to feeling it. I wasn't used to setting boundaries. I wasn't used to it. So what ended up happening is every time I brought her forward, it would be like blood, you understand? Then when I got the crayons, it was just like color. But people were still like, oh, like, and I didn't understand. I was just like, I'm a sweetheart. I don't understand why people don't, well, I don't understand why everybody's scared of me. But I did realize that it was because it would just be quick. You know, even with my kids, it would be real quick. Like, don't play with me. So I would suppress it more because I was just like, I don't want people not to like me. And it's like, I want to be likable. I want to be sweet. I want, I'm amazing. I want people, I want you to love me. I want you to understand how great I am. I want you to understand how how I heal the world. I want you to, and that was the problem because my shadow was suppressed. My ego was suppressed. I had no ego. Like, my ego was, okay, whatever you want, it's fine. If that's what you want, it's fine. Okay, no, we're not doing that anymore. You understand? Now that the shadow is in its place where it's supposed to be with the rest of the crew, if I feel whole and complete. It's like, it's hard to explain how I did it because it sounds weird. It sounds very weird. It sounds very weird how I did it, but this is how I did it. I'll wait for another video. We're going to do another. It might be this shirt. It might not be this shirt, but we're going to do it in another video. And that video is going to be called How I Became Whole and Complete. And that is what the video is going to be. So stay tuned, people. I love you guys. Stay up, stay blessed. Deuces, and I'm out. Click it.